My conversation is usually limited to, I will help you. I say it that simply because words are only auxiliaries. Words can either free or further hypnotize. When a mind is already trembling, a flood of spiritual talk can act like more wind on a small flame. So let us be quiet and let us be exact. I will help you not with slogans, not with the glamour of crises, but with discernment. Do you see? Here is the first quiet point. Not every collapse is awakening. Much that is being paraded as ego death is a chemistry, fear, suggestion, loop, mesmerism wearing a holy costume. A certain chemistry floods the body, sleep lost, stimulants used, an acute shock fear rises, and then suggestion moves in, the suggestions of the age. You are dying, you are breaking through, you are nothing now. The mind, already suggestible, accepts a story, and the story wears Scripture's clothing. Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light, said Paul, and that is all mesmerism needs a costume. Do you follow that? We are not judging anyone's sincerity. We are asking for a test that spares you months, sometimes years, of being lost in a trance of words. The Master gave the test. By their fruits ye shall know them. If what you call awakening leaves you fearful, suggestible, and depleted of grounded function, if you cannot love steadily, cannot attend to your ordinary duties with peace, cannot sleep without dread, you are not beholding spirit. You are entangled in a suggestion. The arm of flesh looks formidable, as if ropes were snakes and distant tracks converged into a threat. But the rope is a rope. The tracks never meet. The white poodle on the lawn never existed. Awakening does not sicken you of life, it steadies you in life. Do you see? Let me be very plain. Our aim is not to chase peak states. Our aim is discernment. And the proof of discernment is fruitage, peace established, clarity continuous, love reliable, function restored. If there is no fruitage, then all we have is an emotional jag with a halo on it. Be still and know that I am God is not an order to collapse. It is an invitation to recognition. In true stillness, the heart grows quiet and the hands become faithful. In awakening, fear evaporates as morning mist. It does not loom as a permanent weather. If you bring me your story of a great night when your eyes shattered and your room filled with awe, I will listen. And then I will ask, gently, what has happened since? Are you kinder to the one at your table? Is your mind clear enough to balance a checkbook, return a call, take a walk without dread? Has bitterness softened? Has some measure of supply or health or guidance become more dependable? If so, then the seed took root. If not, then the seed fell upon stony ground, and we are not to blame the seed or consecrate the stones. We are to till the soil. Do you follow that? You will notice I am keeping this very direct. I do not wish to add to the trance with many phrases. I will help you. And I will help you by teaching you to test experience by life, not by story. By fruitage, not by fireworks. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased, is the divine verdict upon identity, not the announcement of a nervous collapse. Identity revealed does not demolish the lamp. It lights it and sets it on a stand. When the holy costume comes, grand words, shaking knees, labored breath, remember, the test is simple, and mercy is near. Stand by in consciousness with me now, not rushing, not resisting, simply refusing to grant authority to any experience that does not yield harmony. If the fruit is peace, keep walking. If the fruit is fear, drop it. We are learning how to see through the costume and behold the life that is always life. Do you see? Before we go further, we must define the terms before they define you. A word used loosely will begin to use you, and then you are being pushed around by syllables instead of standing in truth. Many have made an enemy of a word, ego, and then they wage a war with a shadow. I will help you, but I will help you by clarity, not by combat. Do you see? What is meant in practice by ego? It is the human sense of separation, defense, and private authorship. It is the feeling, I live by my own steam. I must protect my little life. I created my successes. I must hide my failures. It runs on fear and flattery. It is a habit of identification with the arm of flesh. Useful to name? Yes, because you must be able to say, there is the old story. Dangerous to worship as an enemy, because fighting it makes it your reality. Resist not evil. The moment you fashion a crusade against ego, you enthrone it. You are saying, in effect, there are two powers, God over here, ego over there. May the best power win. That is the bewitchment. O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you? The spell is two-ness. Do you follow that? Here is the root mistake that births the trance, the world of two powers. One power called spirit and another called fear, chemistry, trauma, history, money, chance. That is mesmerism. It is not your personal sin. It is the universal suggestion that there are two laws, two sources, two thrones. But hear the prophet. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Hear the Master. I and the Father are one. Once your premise is one, the spell begins to thin. Once your premise is two, even your prayers can deepen the trance, because you are still arguing with a second power and naming it as something. Take no thought for your life was not indifference. It was an instruction in one. Therefore, our aim is not to annihilate personhood. Our aim is realization, A as God, appearing as individual being, God the invisible, appearing as Son the visible. Identity revealed, not erased. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. That verdict is not a hammer blow to a self, it is the unveiling of self. When the human sense yields, what comes forth is not vacancy. What comes forth is presence, function, tenderness, intelligence. A blank, stunned mind is not God. God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Be very alert here. There is a fashion now to glamorize collapse and call it holy. A broken compass is not a new direction. The absence of orientation is not the presence of God. If the lights go out, darkness appears, not wisdom. Stillness is not numbing. It is a bright quiet that knows what to do next. True stillness stands up and washes the feet. It phones the doctor when needed. It balances the checkbook, forgives the debtor, rests the body, and keeps its word. By their fruits ye shall know them. Do you see? When the so-called ego death brings fear, suggests you are nothing, and leaves you unable to love steadily or do the next ordinary right thing, you are not beholding the holy. You are beholding a suggestion. It is not your suggestion. It is not someone's fault. It is the old serpent of two powers appearing as chemistry, as memory, as crowd talk. Drop it. Get thee behind me, Satan, is not addressed to a person. It is the dismissal of a suggestion. Name it correctly, and you remove its authority. What then is the self? Not a pumped-up personality, not a moral trophy. The self is God, expressing itself as you as. The evidence of self is I as, present isness, life is, love is, wisdom is, supply is. When you are tempted to quarrel with ego, step back one motion and let the premise be one presence, one power, one life. In that one, your individuality is not threatened, it is established. Thou seest me, thou seest the Father, not because a man became divine, but because divinity was appearing as the man. Take this as your working definition while we proceed. Ego is the habit of two-ness. Self is the fact of one. The remedy is not violence against a phantom, but recognition. Stand by in consciousness. Refuse the glamour of breakdown. Refuse the worship of enemies. Quietly know, I and the Father are one, and therefore the next step will appear. If the fruit is peace, keep walking. If the fruit is fear, drop the thought and rest again in one. Words are only auxiliaries. Presence does the work, and presence is. Do you follow that? Let us set down very quietly the only test we have ever needed by your life experience, by the fruitage. Truth does not argue for itself, it proves itself. By their fruits ye shall know them, said the Master. Not by their volume, not by their visions, not by their vocabulary, by their fruits. Do you see? What are the fruits that appear when realization is present? Sanity appears clear, simple, non-dramatic sanity. The mind that was spinning slows to a faithful pace. Sleep becomes ordinary again. Appetite finds its measure. Duties that had grown monstrous shrink to fit their frames, and you do the next ordinary right thing without a parade. Kindness appears first to the one at your table, then to the stranger. The tongue that used to defend now blesses. The hands become willing. The calendar becomes orderly. The checkbook begins to tell the truth. Guidance appears one step at a time, in time. Problems do not become spectacular. They dissolve almost before they have a name. If the problems are quickly and easily being solved, then there is no question some measure of realization is at work. Another fruit, a lessening of compulsion to convince. When presence is realized, the mouth quiets. You find yourself saying less and seeing more. You stop handing out phrases to the hurting. You simply stand by in consciousness, and when words are required, they are few and tender. God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Peace is a fruit, not a theory. Peace is tone. Peace is pace. Peace is the way you answer the phone. The kingdom of God is not meat and drink, but righteousness and peace and joy in the Holy Ghost. Joy without glitter, righteousness without hardness, peace without stupor. Look now at the counterfeit fruits of mesmerism parading as awakening, so that you may know them when they knock. Volatility soaring today, plummeting tomorrow, schedules wrecked, promises broken, obsession with labels, endless talk about ego death, no self, kundalini, as if syllables could save, spiritual pride, the quiet sneer at ordinary faithfulness, the disdain for work and washing the cups, the love of being seen as awake, inability to function, bills unpaid, calls unreturned, medicine scorned when it would have been wisdom to take it, bodies neglected in the name of transcendence. Dread disguised as humility, the chant of I am nothing that carries the weight of fear, not the light of surrender. Dependency expanding, more rituals, more teachers, more substances, more hours demanded to achieve a tolerable state, and the state dissolves when the stimulant or the slogan wears off. Suggestibility, picking up every grim forecast of the age, parroting every new mystical fashion, bowing to the crowd talk of two powers. Do you follow that? We are not condemning anyone. We are identifying a mechanism so that you may be free of it. The mechanism is hypnotic suggestion, the arm of flesh seeming to be a law. When you call it by its name, you depersonalize it. When you depersonalize it, you remove its authority. Perfect love casteth out fear. Love here is not sentiment. It is the recognition of one. In one, there is no second power to fear, no second self to kill, no second law to obey. Harmony is, life is, love is, supply is, I am. When that is realized, even a little fruitage follows quietly, naturally, without strain. Here is a simple, impersonal way to know where you stand without argument. For the next few days, ask no one to validate you and refuse to validate yourself by sensation. Instead, notice, are you steadier? Are you kinder at home? Do ordinary tasks get done with less inward noise? Is there one problem, only one, that releases without a wrestling match? Is your urge to correct others diminishing and your willingness to be present increasing? If yes, keep still and be grateful. The life of God is breaking through as you're living. If not, do not dramatize, drop the suggestion. Look it full in the face and say, this is not a person. This is the old serpent of two powers. Get thee behind me, then rest in one. The test spares you debate. It keeps you from worshiping fireworks or fearing dark nights. When fruitage appears, sanity, steadiness, kindness, practical capability, problems resolving, the tongue gentle, do not credit a method or a man. Credit the fact. God appearing as you is the present isness that requires no support and seeks no applause. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. When that rings true in the quiet center, you will not need to say it loudly. Your life will say it for you. Do you see? There is a pattern I want you to recognize so that you will not be frightened by it or glamorize it. It begins as a sudden collapse of the felt I, a sensation as if the center dropped out. In that vacuum, suggestibility rushes in. Any voice, inner or outer, begins to sound like an oracle. A blog, a stray sentence, a pressure in the chest, a dream, the look on a stranger's face, each is received as a commandment. The mind, already unmoored, believes this must be truth because I feel it terribly. That is not revelation. That is mesmerism. God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Do you see? Now identify the markers quietly as you would note the weather without blame. First, fear in the body, not holy awe, fear, a tightness in the throat, a racing heart, a coldness in the hands, a shakiness with no cause except belief. Then compulsive scanning eyes and mind sweeping the horizon for signs, meanings, confirmations. Is this the sign? Is that the message? Shall I go left or right? Then the loss of ordinary boundaries. Words spill or dry up. You say too much to a stranger and cannot say the simple needed word to the one you love. Depersonalization and derealization appear. I am far away from myself. The room is unreal. My hands do not feel like mine. Next, the inability to make simple decisions. A sandwich becomes a trial. An email grows to a mountain. Along with this frantic meaning-making, the mind tries to rescue itself by manufacturing a holy narrative. Everything must signify. Every breath must be a chapter in a drama. Do you follow that? Listen now for the language of suggestion. It comes as pronouncements, final, absolute, with no light in them. I am not real. I have broken something permanently. This is punishment. I must surrender harder. If I endure this agony, I will be reborn. If I resist, I will be stuck forever. Notice how each sentence presumes two powers and secures the trance. If you take them personally, they bind. If you recognize them as the hiss of the old serpent, they evaporate. Get thee behind me, Satan, is not an insult to a person. It is the dismissal of a suggestion. Drop it. Do not be deceived by the mystical costume. Mesmerism is not validated by how spiritual it sounds. Fear is fear. Suggestibility is suggestibility. Loss of grounded function is loss of grounded function. If the experience leaves you less able to love the one at your table, less able to keep your simple word, less able to sleep and eat in peace, less able to attend to your duty, you are not beholding the holy. You are meeting the arm of flesh. The carnal mind is enmity against God, meaning, of course, it is formed of a belief in a second power that must endlessly struggle. We are not entering that struggle, we are seeing through it. Use the old metaphors and keep them close. A rope in the dusk can appear as a snake. A white poodle can be announced and never arrive, yet the whole house frets as if it was shedding on the couch. Railroad tracks seem to converge, but they never touch. So too this collapse, it seems final, it is only appearance. It seems to foretell doom, it is a misreading. Once the light is on, once his ness is gently realized, the rope is only rope. The tracks are parallel, and the poodle is a rumor. Do you see? Let me speak very plainly to the one who says, but it feels so true. Feeling is not our authority. Fruitage is. If the voice says, you are finished, and yet in the next hour you can call a friend kindly, wash a dish with peace, attend to a task without dread, then the voice was a lie. If the voice says, surrender harder, and surrendering makes you more brittle, more panicked, more isolating, then it is not surrender to God, it is surrender to suggestion. The surrender that is of God reveals AS and rests in IS, God appearing as you. Identity without violence is. The present isness, harmony already, life already, love already. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. When these markers appear, fear, scanning, boundary loss, unreality, indecision, frantic meaning, do not argue, do not decorate, and above all, do not call it awakening. Call it what it is, mesmerism. Then stand by in consciousness. Few words, quiet breath, one premise, one presence, one power. If it is of God, peace will deepen and function will return. If it is suggestion, it will wither for lack of your belief. Perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. Love here is recognition of one. In one, nothing can threaten you, nothing can punish you, nothing can be permanently broken. Harmony is, life is, love is, I am. Do you follow that? There is a subtle trap I want you to see, because it often comes wearing a golden halo, the use of spiritual cliches at the very moment they do the most harm. Words can be an interference. The letter, tossed into acute distress, becomes another lash. The letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. Do you see? Consider the phrases that get hurled when a brother or sister trembles. Everything is an illusion. There are no accidents. Just let go. These sentences may be true in their place, but as weapons they are mesmerism. They are not comfort. They are pressure. They require a performance. The suffering one is now not only frightened, they are ashamed for not being spiritual enough to make a slogan work. That is not love. That is the arm of flesh pretending to be wisdom. Comfort ye, my people, saith your God. Comfort is presence, not the throwing of words. Do you follow that? In a crisis, be very slow to speak. Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. My conversation is usually limited to, I will help you. Then I stand by in consciousness and refuse to argue with appearances. I do not rush to say, it's all illusion, because the rope that seems to be a snake needs light, not debate. I say within myself, quietly, one presence, one power, God appearing as this very individual. Is harmony present? I give not a thought to the person or the condition. I refuse to personalize error. I rest until peace begins to appear, and with it the next ordinary right thing, a glass of water. A call to the doctor if wisdom requires it. A quiet room. The Spirit will instruct, my words cannot. Do you see? Now look at the harm done by what I call truthing others. You approach a friend who is shaking and you begin reciting, just surrender, there's no one here, stop resisting. You have turned a universal principle into a personal indictment. The mind under suggestion hears only, you are failing God. Try harder. Shame swells, fear tightens, and the trance deepens. Cliches in that moment are not truth, they are suggestion. They presuppose two powers, your human capacity to perform and a God who will reward your performance, when the whole message of the Master was grace. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. Do you follow that? Replace slogans with a method. The method is not more words. The method is impersonal recognition. See through, do not talk at. Name the fear for what it is, mesmerism, the old serpent of two powers. Drop it. Do not say to yourself, I should be beyond this by now. That sentence is also mesmerism. It personalizes the suggestion into a spiritual report card. Instead, say within, this is no person, no law, no power. This is the arm of flesh, nothingness. Then stand in is, peace is, life is, love is. Do not try to believe. Simply refuse to fight a second power. In that refusal, light dawns, and the snake is seen to be a rope. If you must speak, keep it spare and tender. I will help you. You are safe with me. We will sit quietly now. Let your tone carry the reality, not your vocabulary. Let your speech be always with grace. Grace is felt long before it is defined. Sometimes you will say nothing at all. You will sit, breathe, and know, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Not because a personality is performing, but because God is appearing as individual being. That silent recognition has authority. Cliches have only echo. Remember, you cannot lift anyone by pushing their head under the water of a slogan. You help when you refuse to personalize error and refuse to weaponize words. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is the recognition of one. When you rest there, the trance breaks without a fight. The fruitage will show it, breath eases, the gaze steadies, the next step becomes obvious. Not because you talked them into heaven, but because presence was realized. Fewer words, more conscious standing. Liberation is not the brilliance of our phrases, it is the quiet fact of I-S, do you see? Let us turn now to the core revelation that frees you from argument and from shame. Error is not you. Error is not your destiny. Error is not your identity. Error is impersonal, hypnotic suggestion, claiming presence and power, that is all. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God. The arm of flesh looks loud, it has no authority. The suggestion shouts, it possesses no law. Do you see? Watch the mechanism so that you will not mistake it for a mandate. First, fear stirs perhaps from a sleepless week, a shock, a stimulant, a long-hidden grief. Fear seeks a story to explain itself. The story seeks a self to wear it a hero or a villain. The self, feeling the weight of the story, begins to wobble and collapses a little. Then, because the age loves fireworks, the collapse is interpreted as enlightenment. That is the loop. Fear, story, self, collapse, consecrated as awakening. But God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Confusion, crowned, is still confusion. Do you follow that? I will help you with a simple picture. A young woman wrote me from a city where people speak casually of dying before they live. She had spent a night trembling, mind racing, a great emptiness swallowing her sense of I. In the morning, two voices competed. One said, you are broken. You will never be the same. And the other, cloaked in gold, said, "This is your great passage. Press harder into the void." Both voices were the same serpent, two powers hissing. We sat quietly on the telephone. I asked no history. I gave not a thought to the person or the condition. I recognized only mesmerism. Within minutes, her breath evened. A glass of water seemed wise. Breakfast seemed possible, and noon brought the strength to pay a bill and call her mother kindly. Fruitage, not fireworks, told the truth. Do you see? Understand this. The sensation may be loud, but it is nothingness. It has no law back of it, no divine ordinance, no cosmic schedule. It is the arm of flesh, nothingness. A rope in the dusk appears a snake until light is present. Tracks seem to converge until you draw near. The non-existent white poodle sheds on the couch in imagination only. So too this drama, it claims a self so that it can borrow your authority. Refuse the loan. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Practice the impersonal stance the instant the spell begins. Use few words, but be exact. Say within, "This is not my mind. This is not a power. This is suggestion. I give it no person, no law, no timeline, no future to threaten. Get thee behind me. Then rest. Do not argue further. Let isness announce itself. Peace is. Life is. Love is. Guidance is. You are not creating peace. You are ceasing to entertain a second power. In the quiet, authority returns, not your human authority, but the presence of one. Perfect love casteth out fear. Love here is recognition of one. Now restore identity without violence. God appearing as you, not a human trying to become divine, but the divine revealing itself as individual being. Hear the benediction. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. That verdict, held in silence, dissolves the need for a story and releases you from being the hero or the failure of the night. You are neither. You are the witnessing of God as individual life, present isness. The remedy is not a future achievement. The remedy is this quiet fact already true. When you depersonalize the experience, you remove its authority, and the trance begins to break. The proof will not be in the speech, it will be in the fruitage. Breath steadies, the gaze softens. The next ordinary right thing becomes obvious and is done. The tongue ceases to dramatize, the hands become faithful. If the fear returns, repeat the same impersonal seeing. This is not my mind. This is not a power. This is suggestion. Then stand by in consciousness. Few words. Steady recognition. One presence, one power. I and my Father are one. Do you follow that? Let us take the word as and let it do its holy work. God appearing as individual being. Not God replacing you, not God erasing you. God, the invisible, showing forth as Son, the visible. Identity without violence. Do you see? At the moment of greatest panic, the suggestion whispers, if only I could disappear, peace would come. That is not truth. That is the serpent proposing self-harm in a golden robe. The Christ does not come as a wrecking crew. The Christ comes as revelation. I and the Father are one, not two beings, one presence, one life, one mind, appearing as individual identity. Here again the benediction that never expires. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Take it out of the frame. Let it sound in your very chest. This is my beloved Son, this you, right where you are. Wobbly knees and all, beloved, not erased. Well-pleasing, not threatened. The Father's pleasure is the fact of your being. Identity stands under that verdict. It does not vanish under a verdict of nothingness. Do you follow that? Now let us be practical and spare you drama. What happens to the human sense under AS? It is corrected. It is gentle. It is purified of its private authorship. I made myself. I must keep myself together. That story dissolves. But the one who cooks supper still cooks supper, only without the fear sweat. The one who signs the check still signs it, only without the knot in the stomach. The one who speaks to the child still speaks, but now with tenderness free of self-display. Awakening does not make you less present. It renders you more truly present, because burden drops and presence remains. In him we live and move and have our being. In that light, movement becomes natural, words become simple, and duties become holy without becoming heavy. Do not confuse humility with humiliation. Humility is the recognition that God is the source and you are the showing forth. Humiliation is the suggestion that you are nothing and should be punished. One is AS, the other is mesmerism. Do not confuse stillness with numbness. Stillness is bright and alert and kind. Numbness is a trance. One bears fruit, gentle hands, steady breath, clear next steps. The other bears confusion and dependency. God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Peace that functions. Peace that sweeps the floor and keeps the appointment and remembers the neighbor's name. Do you see? AS removes the violence from transformation. There is no need to crucify a self you never made. There is only the quiet yielding of the belief in private authorship. The life you call yours is God's life appearing as you. The intelligence you trust is God's knowing appearing as your discernment. The love you feel is God's love appearing as your tenderness. Identity is not vanishing, it is unveiling. As the fog thins, the coastline does not cease to be a coastline, it is only seen correctly. So too you, not a blur, not a void, but a precise, kind, functional showing forth of one. And the proof? Not your speech about non-self, not your capacity for high flights of feeling. Fruitage. Are you easier to live with? Are you more faithful in small things? Does your day carry less strain with no loss of responsibility? Does gratitude appear without a speech to summon it? Do you bless first and correct later? And when you correct, is it clean and not cruel? These are the footprints of AS. When God appears as you, there is less performance and more presence. There is less personal anxiety and more quiet accuracy. Your yes means yes, your no means no. The hand reaches without show. The apology comes without self-contempt. Do you follow that? Make this your daily wordless kneeling before coffee, before headlines. Sit 3 minutes and let AS be your premise. Not recited in a frenzy, but recognized, God is appearing as me. I and the Father are one. Here within, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Then say no more. Let that verdict do the correction. As you move through the day, when the old authorship tries to seize the pen, pause and remember, I am not writing this life. I am reading what love is writing as me. In that remembrance, the pressure lifts and the exact next step appears unforced. Words are only auxiliaries. Presence does the work. Presence. Appearing as you. Identity without violence. Awakening without collapse. God revealing itself as gentleness, as competence, as forgiveness, as patience through you. If it is real, you will not need to make an announcement. Your life will speak steadier, kinder, more exact, less afraid. That is AS fulfilling itself. That is the Father's pleasure felt in the marrow. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Do you see? Now let us take the second word and let it still the water is. Harmony is. Life is. Love is. Supply is. Peace is. Do you see? Spiritual work is never the forcing of a new state. It is the recognition of what already is. Be still and know that I am God. not become. No. The moment you shift from trying to get somewhere to acknowledging what is here, the strain drops from the system like a coat from the arm. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Left, given, not bargained for, not achieved as the prize of a harder fight. Do you follow that? Apply this in the hour when the trance has tried to name itself your destiny. Do not chase the next release. Do not demand a bigger surrender. Collapse does not ripen into awakening by being intensified. The remedy is not forward, the remedy is present. Stand in the recognition of being. Say within, with no drama, one presence, one power. Peace is, life is, I am. You are not creating peace, you are ceasing to argue with it. You are not building a bridge to God, you are noticing you stand already in God. In Him we live and move and have our being. Being is not postponed, it is the fact. Here is the practical shift that keeps you safe. When the mind begins to analyze the experience, why it came, what it means, how to turn it into a mental stop. Analysis in that hour is fuel for mesmerism. Instead, notice what is intact right now. Breath is moving. Let the fact be a fact. Breath is. The room is holding you. Walls, floor, chair, ordinary mercy. Let the fact be a fact. Shelter is. Basic goodness appears in small forms. The inclination to call a friend. The willingness to sip water. The capacity to witness the storm without becoming the storm. Let these be facts. You are not manufacturing them. You are acknowledging what is. Take, therefore, no thought for the morrow. Take no thought to add a second power to the present moment. The present already holds God. Use the schoolroom image that never gets old. You are not trying to make 2 times 2 equal 4. You are realizing it is 4. Whether a child frets or sings, 2 times 2 remains 4. Whether you tremble or glow, being remains being. Peace is the nature of one. Love is the nature of one. The fever of the mind does not alter the table of truth. Our work is not to heat the mind until it fuses with peace, but to recognize peace as the fact that does not fluctuate with emotion. Do you see? In this recognition, you will find a gentle law at work. The moment you rest in IS, the need to fix yourself subsides, and with it, the body's alarms calm, the tongue grows quieter, the hand finds a next ordinary right task and does it without parade. This is not passivity, it is presence functioning. God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Peace is author now, author of your tone, your pace, your appointments kept. Fruitage will show it. Steadier breath, a kind call returned, dishes done with no inward war, money handled truthfully. Small facts are holy when IS is recognized. When the suggestion tries to seduce you into a new ritual, surrender harder, ache longer, reach further, answer with the simplicity of what is. Drop it, sit, breathe. No, I and the Father are one. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Let those be not words to whip yourself forward, but facts to rest in. If you must speak aloud, keep it spare. Peace is, life is, love is. Then be still. The light that reveals the rope is already on. Do not search for a brighter bulb. Stability, then, is not a future breakthrough. It is present isness realized. If you will practice this unspectacular faithfulness, recognizing what is instead of rehearsing what might be, the trance cannot hold. The arm of flesh has no law where is seen. And your life, not your speech, will say it. Less strain, more function, less argument, more presence. Do you follow that? When the trance hits, you must have something simple enough to do that it will not require a heroic mind to do it. I will give it to you now. It is not brilliant, it is faithful. It will not make a show. It will restore you to yourself as God appearing as you. Do you see? Step one is the shortest word in our work. Drop it. Not as repression, not as denial in the human sense. Drop it as refusal to worship the suggestion with your attention. Resist not evil. Do not fight a second power. Let it fall out of your hands. The mind will try to clutch a meaning and inflate it into fate. Do not oblige. Drop it. Get thee behind me, Satan, is not anger. It is dismissal. You are not pushing down a feeling. You are declining to serve a false god. Do you follow that? Step two, name it impersonally. Say within, this is mesmerism. This is the universal belief in two powers. This is the arm of flesh nothingness. Not my broken mind, not my dark night, not my karma ripening. Error has no person, no law, no substance. When you remove the mask of me, the voice loses its authority. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Standing still here means ceasing to argue for a second power. Quietly, accurately, mesmerism, not me. The spell depends upon personalizing. Refuse its premise. Step three, return to isness in the fewest words. Life is, love is, God is, I am. Breathe without counting. Sit without performing. Be still and know that I am God. Do not chant to get somewhere. Acknowledge what already is. If the mind trembles, let it tremble like wind in grass. Being is not disturbed. If you require a single identity line, use it sparingly. I and the Father are one. Then let the benediction stand over you, not as competition with fear, but as fact. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. As and is meet here, God appearing as you, and the present isness of God. Step four, outward speech, minimal and kind. If you must speak to another or to yourself aloud, speak steadiness, not interpretations. I will help you. You are safe with me. We will sit quietly now. Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak. Let your speech be always with grace. Do not place a doctrinal yoke on a trembling neck. Do not label the moment holy or unholy. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. Attend to presence. Your tone will do more than your vocabulary. If silence serves, let silence serve. Step five, choose one grounded action that proves sanity to your own senses. A glass of water, a slice of bread, a short walk to the mailbox and back, opening a window and feeling the air, texting a trusted friend, sitting quietly, all is well, wash a cup, fold two shirts, pay one simple bill. Fruitage begins here, not in fireworks, but in restored function. The master raised the child and then said, give her to eat. Do you see the wisdom? Life, when recognized, moves naturally into ordinary nourishment. Faith without works is dead. Let works be small and exact. By their fruits ye shall know them. Hold to this protocol without haste. Drop it, name it impersonal. Rest in is. Speak little and kindly. Do one grounded thing, then another. In minutes or hours you will notice the weather changing. The breath finds an even course. The gaze steadies. The next ordinary right step appears. That is not your brilliance. That is presence functioning. Peace, be still. You are not striving to get God. You are ceasing to sponsor a second power. One presence, one power. When it returns, and for a season it may, the protocol is the same. Do not negotiate. Do not decorate. Stand by in consciousness and let the fruitage report back to you what is true. Do you follow that? Let us speak of practice not as an ordeal, but as a rhythm, a faithful priming of the pump that matures you from letter to spirit. There are stages, and it is wisdom to honor them. First, we consciously know truth. Later, truth is imparted within. In the beginning, you place the cup beneath the spring, and you prime simple, steady, sometimes awkward. Do not pretend to be at the later stage because you like the sound of it. Pretending is mesmerism. Honesty is safety. The letter killeth, but the Spirit giveth life. And the letter only kills when you try to use it as magic instead of as preparation for listening. Do you see? In the letter stage, you consciously know a few truths, not to decorate the mind, but to clear the fog that blocks hearing. Use the words that serve our framework, A-S and I-S, and keep them spare. God appearing as me. I and the Father are one. Peace is. One presence. One power. You are not arguing with the world. You are setting the table for Spirit to dine with you. Think of it as priming the pump. You move the handle gently so that the water already present can flow. The moving is not the water, it is the invitation. Take this into the day in 5 small hours. On waking, before the phone floods you, 1 minute, God is appearing as me. I rest in what is. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Say it once and listen. Before meals, 1 breath. Life is. Supply is. Gratitude is. Not a performance, a noticing. With money, paying a bill, receiving a wage, whisper within, source is. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Let honesty and sufficiency meet in that remembrance. With news, hold the headline in the light. One presence, one power. Judge not according to the appearance. Give it 30 seconds of righteous judgment. Impersonalize what would frighten, and then go on with your appointed kindness. With symptoms in body or mind, do not improvise a drama. Return to the few words. This is mesmerism, not person, not power. Peace is. Then listen. The pivot from letter to spirit is this. Emphasis shifts from your declaring to your receiving. Flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. Our labor is to make a quiet landing strip for that revelation. Cultivate a listening ear after your 2 or 3 sentences. Close the lips of the mind. Be still. Let the Christ declare truth within consciousness. It will not be a flood of phrases. More often it is a weightless certainty, a soft correction, a told next step. My sheep hear my voice. The hearing is not dramatic. It is accurate. Do you follow that? Beware strained practice. Forcing emptiness can mimic trance and leave you brittle. Some have tried to beat their minds into blankness and call the dullness peace. That is not our way. Spirit does not anesthetize. Spirit illumines. Real practice yields quiet assurance and usable peace. God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Test it. If, after your sitting, you are more available to your day, kinder in your tone, clearer about one honest task, that is fruitage. If you are spaced, irritable, or grandiose, you have slipped into the letter bullying the mind. Drop it and begin again gently. I will give you a little picture. A bookkeeper wrote that the afternoons were her undoing coffee jitters, news scrolling, a sudden sense of unreality, and then the glamour of ego death whispered at her desk. We arranged a priming rhythm. At 12, 3 sentences. At 3, 1 sentence. At 5, 1 listening minute. At 12, God appearing as me, I and the Father are one. At 3, peace is. At 5, no words, only, speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. Within a week, her figures balanced without rechecking. Her supervisor remarked on her steadiness, and the late bus ride home felt ordinary and kind, not fireworks function. By your life experience, by the fruitage, this is not a lazy man's work, but it is gentle work. Keep the practice simple and exact. Consciously know a few truths at the gate of each small hour. Then listen. Over months, you will notice that the sentences shorten and the hearing deepen. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. The shift is not your accomplishment, it is grace finding an unobstructed channel. Your part is faithfulness. The Spirit's part is revelation. When the balance holds more receptivity than recitation, you will not need to announce it. Your day will report it back to you. Less hurry, more accuracy, fewer words, more presence, fewer collapses, quicker restorations. That is the movement from letter to spirit, do you see? If you are to be of any use in this world, you must learn the ministry of minimal words. You do not throw metaphysical sentences at the suffering. You do not argue with panic. You do not turn another's trembling into your stage. Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak. Keep your words few and loving. Keep your inner posture exact. Give not a thought to the person or the condition. See only the Christ. Recognize what presents itself as trouble to be impersonal mesmerism, a universal belief in two powers. Do you see? When the call for help comes, refuse the glamour of diagnosing or narrating. If they tell you their history, be kind, but within yourself do not touch it. You are not here to fix a person or to battle a condition. You are here to refuse the second power and to behold God appearing as individual being. A-S and I-S do the work. Your speech will only hinder if it tries to replace presence. Comfort ye, my people, not with a barrage of concepts, but with the warmth of presence felt. Your sequence is simple. First, listen. Listening is love. Let them finish a sentence without your improvement. The very act stabilizes breath. Second, assure quietly, I will help you, not I will explain you, not I will correct you, I will help you. These four words carry authority when backed by one presence. Third, stabilize the body without drama. A chair, a sip of water, a piece of bread, a cool cloth, a window opened. Remember the master. After life was restored, give it to eat. The body receiving ordinary care soothes the animal fear and gives mind fewer excuses to invent catastrophes. Do you follow that? Only then, inwardly and silently, hold to AS and IS. You are not performing, you are recognizing. God appearing as this one, beloved, well-pleasing. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Present isness. Peace is, life is, love is, one presence, one power. Let these be known within you, not flung upon the other. You will feel the atmosphere alter, lighter, truer, more breathable, not because you have manipulated anything, but because you have ceased to serve a second power. Be still and know that I am God. Be still first, no second. The knowing is God's gift to a still heart. Guard against spiritual cliches like a shepherd guarding the gate. When the trembling one asks, why is this happening? They are not asking for a treatise. They are asking if there is a hand they can hold that will not preach at them. If you must speak another sentence, borrow scripture that soothes rather than stings. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Or peace, be still, then return to quiet. Do not decree it a holy crisis. Do not canonize the collapse. Do not threaten them with destiny in either direction. Suggestions thrive on a future. Presence dissolves them in the now. Now watch for fruitage. Not fireworks function. Calmer breathing, shoulders lowering an inch, the ability to sip water without gagging on a story. A clear choice. Sit, rest, call a friend, send a simple email. Reduced dread in the gaze. The return of a small appetite or a nap that is sleep, not stupor. By their fruits ye shall know them. If fruitage appears, you have helped. If agitation increases under a flood of your truth, you have spread the spell. Drop your words and return to presence. Do you see? A small picture. A father calls, voice tight, The daughter is locked in a bathroom, certain she is disappearing. He wants a technique. I ask him to stand at the door and say, "I'm here. I will help you." He says it twice, then is silent. I tell him to put a glass of water on the floor and say, "When you're ready, drink this." He does not describe God. He does not argue about ego. I do not give a thought to the daughter or to a condition. I recognize mesmerism, no law back of it. Within minutes, the bolt slides, a hand reaches for the glass, and the house exhales. Later, there is time for instruction. In that hour, there was only presence and a glass of water. Fruitage told the truth. In all such moments, refuse to personalize error and refuse to weaponize words. Keep the inner recognition unbroken. God is appearing as this one. I and the Father are one. I-S is present. Peace is your few words. I will help you. You are safe with me. We will sit quietly now, are carriers of that recognition. The less you perform, the more presence performs. And the proof will not be your report of a miracle. It will be the ordinary holiness of restored function, breath even, step steady, simple duties resumed, kindness returning to the tongue. Inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these, ye have done it unto me. Help is holy when presence, not personality, authors it. Do you follow that? Now let us take a simple, honest measurement, not a mystical report, not a tale to impress the neighbor's fruitage. By their fruits ye shall know them. If this work has been real, problems yield more quickly, not sensationally, simply. The knot that took days to untie relaxes in an hour. The fear that owned the morning loses its leash by noon. The habit that dragged you around the room now looks you in the eye and finds you steady. Do you see? Relationships soften. You need fewer speeches to be understood. You apologize sooner and without self-contempt. You listen longer before you correct. And when you correct, it is clean, not cruel. There is less fascination with crisis. The inner theater quiets. You do not need to burn down a day to prove you are awake. Joy appears in modest clothes, quiet gratitude over coffee, unadvertised mercy in traffic, a willingness to take the last place at the table without feeling lesser. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. These are not posters on a wall. They become the weather of your hour. Fruitage will also speak in the ordinary ledger of life. Bills are handled truthfully. You do not flirt with dishonesty to purchase relief. Sleep returns, not as escape, but as rest. The body does what bodies do when fear is unseated, breath even. Appetite, modest hands, not trembling at the latch. When mesmerism brushes your door, you recognize it sooner. The snake in the rope is seen as rope before you call a meeting about snakes. You stand by in consciousness. You do the next right small thing. You do not make a god of the weather. God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Peace begins to author your pace, your tone, your calendar. Now here, once more, the truth that removes the violence from transformation. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Take it personally and impersonally at once. Personally, as the medicine your heart needs. Beloved, not erased. Well-pleasing, not threatened. Impersonally, as the universal law of identity. God appearing as individual being. There is no self to destroy. There is only suggestion to drop. No holy merit in collapse. No ribbon for surviving a trance. I and the Father are one. You are not a mistake trying to disappear. You are God's own life showing forth. Identity is not the enemy. Private authorship is the mistake. When authorship yields, identity shines gentle, exact, useful. Set your expectations soberly and kindly. This is not a lazy man's work. Discernment is cultivated. Receptivity is trained. You will prime the pump more days than you boast about. You will practice when no one is watching, and you will refrain from speeches when everyone is watching. Yet the way is gentle. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Easy does not mean sloppy. It means nothing essential depends upon your strain. Light does not mean flimsy. It means weight carried by one presence. Keep to the few words. Keep to ayes and ayes. Refuse the second power. Stand by in consciousness. Day upon day, fruitage will accumulate like dawn, quietly, accurately, without your trumpet. If this has described you, if you have been frightened by the glamour of collapse or shamed by its return, be comforted. You are not alone. No shame is required. No drama is useful. We are learning to see suggestion as suggestion, to drop the mask of me, and to rest in what is. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. When the wind rises, we do not argue with it, we do not bow to it. We simply turn to the one and say within, peace is, life is. One presence, one power, and if you cannot find a sentence, sit still and borrow mine, I will help you. Let this be our closing measure and our quiet vow. We will let our lives report the truth. Less strain, more function. Less talk, more presence. Fewer collapses, quicker restorations, kinder homes, cleaner ledgers, steadier hands. Not for pride, for proof that God is here, as you now. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Receive it and stand by in consciousness. We do not fear suggestion once it is seen. The arm of flesh has no law where one is. Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. Do you see? Thank you.